We do this too, we're bringing that fire. Talking real talk, Kentucky's on fire. From bourbon to ball games, we got that flow. On the We Do This Too podcast, yeah, you know. From country roads to the city lights, they bring the heat, man, every night. We do this too, let's make it clear. If you ain't listening, you ain't here.
Welcome back, y'all. It's another edition of the We Do This Too Outdoors podcast. And as always, we are presented to you in partnership with brands that we feel represent the very best of the outdoor industry. So before we get started, we'd like to give a special shout out to Moultrie Products, Uhler's Archery, Threads Custom Bowstrings, G5 Outdoors, Blackburn Apparel Company, Deer Pip Scents and Lures, Vision Clothing, Bluebird Waterfowl Company, Angry Chicken Outdoors, Alps Outdoors, and last but certainly not least, a special shout out to the good folks over at Briley's for leaving a legacy of shooting innovation. Whether you need new cameras to elevate the scouting experience, new arrows, or anything for your archery setups, clothing, scent, or whatever it may be, as a supporter of the podcast, you can use promo code WDTT promo. That's WDTT promo for 15% off anything on the website at uhlersarchery.com. Some exclusions may apply. With that being said, let's dive into another episode of the We Do This Too Outdoors podcast with your host, Mr. Courtney Williamson. What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the We Do This Too Outdoors podcast. I have got a super special guest for y'all today. Some of y'all may know him, some of y'all may not, but y'all will get to know him and his story today. Mr. Josh Carney, a.k.a. Son of the South. How you doing, brother?
Man, Courtney, it's a pleasure to be here, man. I got to say, I'm proud. You've come a long way since we first met, and I'm proud that you're here, man. I'm glad to be on your podcast.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked is the only word that I can even come up with to say that, dude, I've been following you for so long. You are a big inspiration to me in the outdoors, man. The first time we met, like I said, I don't know if you remember this. I was in college, and my buddy Clay took me to my first NWTF, and we were walking around, and I was just stunned at all the, the calls and all the people that were there. And my buddy Clay's like, dude, you got to go meet this dude, Josh. Like, he's in a wheelchair. He's a black guy, and he can do literally any call that you give him. I'm like, yeah, let's go meet this guy, And I met you. And people were just coming up to you, hey, man, do a duck call. Hey, man, do a coyote call. Hey, man, do this. And I'm like, dude, this dude is amazing. So once I got home, man, I started doing my research on YouTube or whatever, started deep diving and everything. And I'm just like, wow, man, this guy is really into the outdoors. He's a big inspiration to everybody. And he's just a cool dude, man. And I was like, you're just an awesome guy, man.
Man, you definitely know how to hype me up. I appreciate it. Man, it's being in the outdoor industry, man. That's been a gift to me. I mean, that's such a blessing. Just being able to, do those things, inspire people like you, inspire people, all throughout the industry. That, I mean, I've touched a lot of people's lives, and they give me a message like that, and I can't stop smiling because, man, that message means a lot to me. Knowing that I'm making a difference and inspiring people and I'm doing something great, that means a lot to me. So thank you for that.
Thank you, man. Like, yeah, you're awesome, man. I remember when I first talked about I was gonna, do this brand and do this podcast, and I go back and read your messages that you sent me all the time, just for you taking the time out of your busy schedule just to respond to a little old country boy from Kentucky like me, man. That means the world to me, man. So I definitely appreciate you, brother.
Man, look, here's the deal. I don't consider myself anybody special. I put my pants on the same way everybody else do. I just got to do a little different. I just continue to work hard and strive to make success for myself. And, I don't mind sharing success. I want everybody to win. I mean, I don't mind giving a piece of the pie. It's out there for everybody. So you came to me for help, and I gave you the best advice I can give you. And here we are now. I mean, that was back in 2023 when we started that message. And now 2025. Start a brand new year. Hell yeah, dude. I'm proud to be on this podcast. I'm glad to see you succeed like that. That's awesome.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Well, let's get into it, man. Just tell the folks where you're from and how you got into the outdoors.
Oh, so I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, born and raised there. I mean, I was a little country kid growing up. I'm still country as cornbread, but I ain't as wild as they used to be. I When I was a kid, I mean, at 3 years old, I mean, I would hop in a brush pile with a pair of rabbit dogs and just get after rabbits. I mean, I grew up hunting. I mean, I was a passion man. That's what I loved. Um, growing up, just being in the outdoors, that was my drug. I was addicted from the start, and then, that made me into who I am today. Um, I always had those dreams of those outdoor influencers, those outdoor, what they call them influencers nowadays. But back in the day, growing up, they were, our celebrities, our heroes, those guys you look up to, the Michael Waddells, the Cuz Stricklands, the Jim Shockeys, those people, I looked up to those people. I was like, man, as a kid, I was like, I'm gonna be one of those guys one day. And like my grandmother would call me, she called me Josh Big Time Hunter. And like I was like, I'm gonna be one of those guys one day. And God heard me. And he made a way. He made a way for me to be in that position. And I'm glad to be in that position. And I'm glad to be able to give back to people who are trying to grow in that industry. It's a great industry, but it's tough to be in because it's a rough lifestyle. You're on the road a lot. You got to produce content. You got to show up. You got to be there for a lot of people in a lot of ways, and you got to perform. Like I said, you got your list of sponsors, man. Your intro was great. You got to represent all those companies. That's amazing. You know, that takes big pants to feel, and doing it, it's not for everybody. But I'm glad that you reached out and you succeeded to that point. Thank you for that. I'm glad that I can help you get there. But like I said, starting out as a kid, my dream was to get to this point so I could help other people get to this point, and it's here.
It's here. It's awesome, man. Yeah, I just reached out to a lot of these companies, man, and they love what I was doing and they wanted to kind of help me out a little bit. This year, I kind of got sidelined. I got hurt at work October the 10th, and I've been sidelined. I didn't get to do any hunting this year. I had what they call a major concussion. So every time I stand up, I get real dizzy. Still got pretty bad headaches. So I still got sidelined, but I still make sure to get good content out, my podcast and everything like that to, hook up these sponsors and everything else. But, you know, I'm like you, man. Like I was a kid and my passion was the outdoors. I love sports, but I played so many sports when I was little. I didn't get to go hunting a lot as much as I wanted to with my dad until really like the summertime. So summer and spring, some of the fall, but I got out there as much as I could with my dad, and that was always how I found my peace. Um, I get so bad on the baseball field or the basketball court, I get so angry. But when I went out there hunting those rabbits with my dad or hunting those quail with my dad or dove or whatever, that's when I was at peace. And
Yeah,
I lost my dad in 14, man, and he was a big fisherman, and that was my fishing buddy. I haven't been really fishing since. I took my son a few times, but
yeah, man. I'm
um,
sorry for that.
I appreciate that, man. It's hard to get back out there without him, man. It's just hard, man. So I know sometimes people are going through some stuff, which you've been through a lot, and we're going to delve into that a little bit later. But for anybody out there listening, man, if you're going through something, man, just give it over to God. He'll take care of it. I promise you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm gonna hop off your part of being sidelined. So I've been sidelined since August of 2022. Right now, if you can see in the background, I'm in a nursing home right now. Like my life is flipped upside down. It's put me on the sideline for my career. I hadn't hunted since 2022.
Oh man.
What happened? I back in 2005. We'll dive into the story here in a bit, but back in 2005, my dad shot me turkey hunting, and I had a bullet fragment in my left shoulder that caused my arm to go paralyzed. I went to the hospital to get it worked on, and I was leaving a trade show, and I was trying to drive home, and my arm just it failed, like I couldn't feel it, and I was like, something's not right. And man, I just went out next day, got up and kayaked 8 miles, and once we got back to the house, hopped in the shower, my arm just went completely paralyzed. And I was like, man, this ain't good. Something is bad. Like my legs don't work, and now one of my arms giving out. Like we got a situation here. It's bad. So I go to the hospital and the doctor do a surgery on my back instead of my arm. And I wake up from the anesthetics, and both of my arms paralyzed. I can't feel both my arms are numb. I mean, it's a situation. It was living hell at that point. Um, and man, it was rough. It was brutal. I try and have a conversation with my friends that did come visit, and my pain was so bad, like my body would just go in shock, and they had to pump me with medicine to like put me to sleep because my body was just hurt so bad, like I had no control. I mean, it was rough. And then in that process, they didn't bring me proper care. I've had the worst with healthcare here in the last couple of years, but you just put your head, you keep it up, and give it to God, and you just strive forward. But they didn't turn me side to side, so I developed what's called a pressure sore on my back. Well, I dealt with that for a while, and man, I had to chase doctors. I had to chase doctors to try and get my arms fixed. I had to chase doctors to try and get this hole in my back fixed. And man, it kept getting worse and worse, and I finally got my arms back working fully after a year and a half. And I still had to hold my back. It was getting closer, getting close. It was getting close because stem cells. I went on a big stem cell diet because I wanted to fix myself because I wasn't getting any help from doctors, and I had to figure out a way to get done. So I took a dive into stem cells, and that was working. It was building my body back. My arms repaired. I got back my arms physically, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get this hole closed. And I just, you know, I lost my career. I was doing the hunting shows, traveling, filming, doing that, and once your arms get paralyzed and your legs paralyzed, there ain't much you could do. You sit there and
Right.
you pray to God and you ask for a better day. That's it. That's all I could do. I lost all the sponsors. I couldn't do stuff on social media. I mean, I was in a predicament, and I prayed and just had to get out of it. So I moved forward and I just kept pushing, did therapies, things like that, and finally got all the way back around here to Texas, which is the sixth state that I've been to try and get this hole in my back fixed. And we're finally on the process. We're almost finished up. It's almost healed, thanks to the stem cells. But I had the doctors cut out my back. They had a hole in my back the size of a basketball going all the way down to my spine. And I had to deal with that. So I'm just finishing. I'm not finished healed up with it yet. They placed me inside of a nursing home, and it's it's not a great place. I'm gonna just say that. So if you hear people screaming in the background, I apologize in advance. But I live too far out in the country because, like I said, I'm a country boy from down home, so they couldn't send help out to me. So they had to place me where I could get help. Now I'm on an up and up. I'm finishing up my that wound on my back, and I get back on the road. I start touring February 1st, and I'm getting back in action. So yeah, I was sidelined for a bit, but man, it's time for showtime. It's here. It's ready. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be on your podcast. You're hyping me up to get me back in action because it's been a while, man.
Yeah. Man, I can't even explain or even, man, that's crazy. I didn't know that was your dad that shot you. I never heard that part of the story.
Yeah. So back in 2005, like I said, I grew up hunting. I mean, I born and raised Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Man, I chased squirrels and rabbits and every dove. I mean, I love hunting. I was obsessed with it, and I wanted to get to turkey hunting. I seen all these guys on TV turkey hunting, and they made it look so easy. They get some sticks, they rub them together, and a freaking turkey comes running in. It's not that easy. I'm just letting people know it's not that simple.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not at all.
but they made it look easy. I wanted to do it. I've hunted everything else in Louisiana. I just wanted to check that off a bucket list. So on my first turkey hunt, me and my dad would go to church that Sunday morning, and after church, I was like, all right, we're going turkey hunt. Let's go. So it's about mid morning. It's about noon, something like that. And we go to this place where I rabbit hunt, where I grew up hunting, and I sit on a tree, and he sits on another tree, and I'm facing this way, and he's facing directly towards me. Um, and we're calling. There's nothing going on. We didn't know what we were doing. Had absolutely no idea. We bought some calls from Walmart and just tried to make it sound. My dad sounded like a dying rabbit on a turkey call. I sounded like a chicken in a freaking. It was not all. The calling sucked. So once we kind of settled down, I saw my dad pick up his gun. It was on the ground. I saw my dad pick up the gun, and then he showed it, and he went to shoot, and there was nothing in the gun. So he racked a shell in it, and he shot. He shot me. Now, I was laying on a big oak tree. There's a big briar patch to my right. There was no turkey there. My dad shot. My dad tried to kill me at 13. There was no
Oh
turkey
my
there.
God.
Dealt with that. He picked me up, brought me, EMS came and picked me up, and, they classified it as a hunting accident because, my dad shot me turkey hunting, but there was no turkey there, but that's part of life. That built me though. That built me to the character that I am. That helped me get to this day where you're talking about the animal sounds. There was a bullet that hit my esophagus and it allowed me to make animal sounds. So when I was in the hospital, I had a breathing tube down my throat. And the doctor came in and said, you had a bullet that hit your spinal cord. You won't be able to walk again. And I had a trach in I had a breathing tube, and they were going to put a trach in because they said that I couldn't use my throat because the bullet hit my esophagus. And when he told me that, I pulled the breathing tube out of my throat. I was like, no, you're wrong. And so it altered my vocal cords to where I have that. It was 13 when it happened, so I never really matured through that. When your voice gets deep at that young age, I didn't finish that process because I had that breathing tube down my throat. So with
Right.
that, it allowed me to make certain pitches that I could do as a kid, that high vocal pitch and still that low graspy pitch. I I didn't know what gift I had. I had no clue. I went to a trade show. I think this was back 2013, probably summer 2013. I went to a trade show, and this guy was trying to sell me a turkey call. I mean, I'd never been to like a trade show, so I had no idea what it was, how it was going to be. So the guy was trying to sell me a turkey call. I was like, man, listen, I don't want it. I got bad history with turkey hunting. I don't want it. And he's pushy. He's like, here, try it. But I was like, man, I can do that with my mouth. And I was just a cocky kid that knew that I could do anything I put my mind to. And that was it. I was cocky. And the guy was like, all right, you can do this with your mouth and do it. And I was like, all right. My throat's a little dry right now, but I mean, I did the same exact call that he was running in his hand with my vocal cords. And the guy was like, wait, was that you? He's like, no, that's that kid. And the guy pointed at me and he's like, man, that's good. Like, what else can you do? I was like, I don't know. I just learned that 10 minutes ago. Like you taught me. I don't know what I could do. So I went
Right.
around the trade show and I had some other call companies and, they had turkey calls and duck calls and goose calls. And one of the guys like, man, like you're really good on the turkey calls. I mean, I just rolled around a trade show, like making this newfound sound that I just discovered 5 minutes ago. And people like stop me like, man, that's good. Like you're good. I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you. I don't know what I'm doing. I had no clue what I was doing, you know? And a guy stopped me and he was like, can you do a goose call? I was like, I don't know. What's it sound like? And then he did it on a goose call. And I was like, man, I don't know. And I was like, what word are you saying when you're doing your goose call? He's like, just say Coke or say bark or something like that. I was like, all right. So I learned how to take a word and break it into syllables. So, and it's weird how I'm going to explain it, but say bark. Say
Bark.
bark. All right, bark.
Bark.
Slow it down. Bark.
Bark.
All right, so now you're starting to get there. I'm about to teach you how to do. I'm about to teach you how to do a Canada Goose right here on your own podcast. First time
Sweet.
ever. I've never done this for anybody. So the way I explain it, it's a capital B A A A A R R R capital K. So high pitch K. Bark. 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 So do you hear the capital, the bar?
You, dude, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Dude, that's sick, bro.
I learned how to break the word down, like find a word and just break it down into an animal sound. And I was like, man, like that's cool. A lot of people liked it at this show. I was like, all right, cool, that's fine. So I got on. I was driving somewhere. I was going to the feed store, pick up some feeds of horses, and I was like, I'm gonna post a video about me saying that I'm going turkey hunting. Like I'm gonna have a good turkey season. And I just posted this silly, stupid video on social media, and it went crazy. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I guess I sound good. I have no idea. My first turkey hunt, I got shot. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, is this good? And just people just like flooded to my social media, like, dude, like you can call, like that's good. What else can you do? And people started sending me these challenges. It's called Carney Call Challenge. It's still on Facebook if you type it in. And like there's these videos of people calling me out to do animal sounds. And they send one in, they give me 24 hours to do a video, send it back. So I that's how I learned how to make animal sounds. Like people put me on a 24-hour call challenge, and I had to figure out how to make an animal sound within 24 hours, perfect it, and then send it back in a video. So that was how I started my internet season. All right. So one of those people that met me through that time frame reached out to me, my buddy Rob. He's a brother to me. Um, he was like, you need to go to the ATA show. I was like, man, I don't even know what that is. It was the Archery Trade Association show.
Yeah,
This is where
ATA.
all the big sponsors, all the outdoor celebrities, like everybody that I looked up to on TV, those companies, like the whole 9 yards, is at this show. And I was like, okay, another another girl, she's a great friend of mine, Kirsten. She reached out. She was like, man, you're good. If you're at an ATA show, like let's meet and hang out. I say that's fine. And I go to this show, and I have no idea what I'm doing, what I'm getting into, nothing. I just know that I'm going to some kind of convention. So get to the show. I meet up with, Carson and Rob, because that's the only people I know at the show. So we go around the show and we're going down this aisle and I look over and I see Jim Shockey. And I freaking have a schoolgirl moment. Like, man, that's Jim Shockey. Like, dude, I just got chills, man. And she was like, do you want to meet him? I was like, no, he's busy. I'm like, hell no. Like, I'm shy. Like, that's freaking Jim Shockey. So she introduces her. Jim, this is Josh. Josh, this is Jim. And dude, I'm freaking out. Like, I'm calm on surface. I'm freaking out. Like, I'm like, this is the legend. This is Jim Shockey. And Carson was like, hey Josh, do your goose call for Jim Shockey. I'm like, no, I just got one. Because I make silly animal sounds. This guy don't want to hear me make an animal sound. And I did it. I made a goose call in front of Jim Shockey, and it was Jim Shockey, Spooks Man was in a group, and I started making animal sounds. She's like, all right, do this sound, do another sound. So I just started making all these animal sounds, and these people that I looked up to growing up are sitting here crowded around me. And I'm like, what on earth is happening right now? And then I took off at that show. I mean, I had radio interviews, podcasts, people like filming me for the show. Like by the time I got home, like my social media exploded. I was like, man, what happened? Like I had no idea what happened. I had no clue. And I was like, all right, we're going somewhere now. Like I just introduced myself to the people that are my heroes that I look up to. We're going somewhere now. Okay. How do we move it from here? So I just kept posting videos because I knew that's what got me in that position. Kept posting the videos, just telling my story, showing my day, posting silly little things, showcasing me hunting, just getting out there in my chair and just grinding it out, just making success for myself. And that aspect of it, it put me in the scene to where it built me. And then after that, I went to a National Wild Turkey Federation show, and I did the same thing over again. I'm in front of all these people making sounds in the big company booths, and I'm making all these sounds, and I'm gathering crowds of people around me, and people like, man, like, who is this guy? Like, is he sponsored? Like, do we need to sign him? Like, what's the deal? And I mean, I called my way into success. That's the craziest way to say it, but that I called my way into success. When I was a kid, I called it. I was like, I'm gonna be like that guy when I grow up. And then I go to these shows, and now I'm that guy. And it's cool. I gotta say, it's cool being around, your idols, and your idols are your friends. And, you get to be around people that look up to you, and you're an idol to somebody. And, you can, do something that helps someone's life and make it better and be an inspiration and value to somebody. Man, that's worth it. That's worth it
Yeah,
to me.
I agree. So this past year, last February is the first time I got to meet Michael Waddell for the first time.
Isn't he great?
and I was having a fanboy moment. I was trying to get my words together, and Nick was standing right there. So me and Nick and Mike are sitting there having a conversation. I handed him my business card, told him about my brand. He said, "Man, I wish I could sit here and talk to you for an hour." He said, "I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people, but I talked to him for about 15 minutes and I gave him my card, and he said, "Man, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it." He said, "If I can help you in any way, let me know." And that was just music to my ears. So I was just like, I just got to talk to Michael Waddell. I've been watching him since I was a kid. And Daddy Waddell was there too, his dad. I
Oh
got to
yeah.
talk to him, and I was like, dude, this man is like what most people say he is. He's just like super down to
Yeah.
earth country boy,
Oh yeah.
and he loves the outdoors, man. But you said something right in there that my grandmother used to say a lot. I think it's one of your quotes on Instagram. It says life
Okay.
is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it.
That is the absolute truth. I mean,
So my
you can.
grandmother used to say that.
Here's the deal: you can let life knock you down, or you can just take the punches and be a better character. I mean, like, life is meant to build you. I mean, like, it's gonna throw roller coasters at you, but it's meant to turn you into a person. It's either going to make you a better person or a worse person. It all depends on how you react to it. But, life is life. Everybody has, a different life. They go through different things. I don't question God why, I was shot and put in a wheelchair. That's my life. But my life is being used to help other people, inspire other people. Like now, I have a nonprofit where we're taking kids, with disabilities on outdoor trips. They get to go hunting, fishing, horseback riding. I got to do that because I dreamed of this life as a kid and I built it. And now I get to give it back to kids who have that same want and dreams. That's the freaking coolest thing ever. But it took me going through that 10% and using it at 90% for me to get here. Just grinding it out and just absolutely going for it and not letting anything hold me back.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, man. A lot of people that have had so-called accidents like you had wouldn't be as enthused as you are. Like the way that I look at it, it might be the wrong way to look at it, but you know, God closed the door for you, but He opened up a window.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like he made something bad, maybe for the reason, like you said, to help other people out. Like there's my grandmama always said not to question God because His master plan is way bigger than what we can even fathom. So
Absolutely.
maybe that was just your course that was meant for you was to get shot, get paralyzed, so that you could help other people.
So here's the thing. I see God as a comical. He's comical. I mean, he will have a plan and he will change that plan in an instant. And you'll just look at it like, I never saw that coming. You know. So my legs were taken away from me back in 2005. This is 2025, 20 years later. I'm working with companies. I mean, like I said, I've built my success in the industry, and and outside, I've worked with people in the medical state to help other people. So I'm working on getting my legs back here in 2025 through stem cells. So I just fixed my back, and now we're going to go through the process of getting stem cells in my spinal cord and just go through the whole process to regain that back. So, I don't look at it as like, he took that away from me. No, I still have my legs. He just put me on pause for a second because he knew that he had another mission for me later down the road, but he had to build me within that time frame for me to do what he needed me to do. We don't see it at the time. It may be a 20-year plan for some people. Maybe 30. I mean, he made what the Israelites wait in the desert for 40 days,
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't have their mind right.
Yep.
You might not have your mind right, and he may have to
Yep.
make you wait on it. I mean,
Yep.
I'm stubborn. It took me this while to find it because I'm bullheaded, but like it got me to that point. Is like we're here. I got baptized last year. I'm like, God, take the wheel. It's yours. And that was the greatest thing I've ever done. He's put more in my lap than I deserve, man. And he's allowing me to do it and give it back to people. I build my success. God built my success. and he's using it so I can give back to people and help other people, help people. It's like a dominoes effect. But like I said, it took that incident 20 years ago to happen for me to get to this point here today to help people not go through that 20-year drought.
That's right, man. Like, yeah, as a religious man, I know you're very familiar with the story of Job
Oh
in the
yeah.
Bible. You're kind of like a modern day Job,
I
T-
Man,
took a
that's funny you say that because I absolutely am the modern day Job.
yeah,
I
man. Took
I look.
everything from you, and then as much as Job got taken away from him, he still had that faith. At the end of the
Yep,
day, he was like, I'm a rock with God no matter what, man. And that's a
absolutely.
very positive way to look at it, because a lot of people wouldn't have
Yeah.
gone that same route.
Yeah. I mean, the devil said, "Hey, listen, like, who can I tempt?" He's like, "I'm gonna send you Job, man." Like at 13 years,
Mhm.
I died twice when I was in the hospital. I mean, I saw the light and I saw the eerie place. I mean, I went through that experience. Yeah, as a kid, it's 13 years old, and I mean, he's like, "All right, guys, like, I got a plan for you." I'm like, all right, what is it? I'm bullheaded, but I'm listening. You might have to guide me in other directions, but I hear you. Where are we going? What's it gonna take? And I mean, he put me on a road. He was like, I'm gonna show you places that you've never seen before. I'm gonna get you out of this place here. I'm gonna take you somewhere else because I got a mission for you. It may be in North Carolina, it may be in Wisconsin, it may be here, but I'm gonna put you on the road because you have a gift that I need to show. And now it's time to do it. So here, listen to me, follow the plan, and let's go. And he guided me the whole way, man. He still guided me. Yeah, man, I'm blessed with life. I can't complain about it.
That's awesome, man. And how long did it take you to get to a mindset like that? Like, did it take a while, or was it like one of those things like you were mad at God for a while, or
Oh
how
yeah,
like
I was.
how did that come about? Because like, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. If I was in your shoes, it'd be hard for me to find the will to wake up every morning.
Yeah, man, it was very hard. So, growing up after I got shot, like I didn't have a good household. I had a very abusive household. Parents would fight. Going through a divorce, they're trying to fight over custody. You know, my mom was worse than my dad. I mean, she beat the shit out of me with a pipe and fractured my pelvis after my dad shot me and paralyzed me. You
Hey,
know, I had to go through the system, and man, I went through hell as a kid. And that molded me and built me to cherish life, and just that started my mindset. That put me in a mindset that's like, hey, like I'm a kid and I'm going through all this, but I got to find a way out of it. So that started building my mindset of like, hey, if I can get to the next day, I'm winning. If you finish the day, you're winning. You wake up the next day, you're winning. And I just started building that mindset young. And, as I got older, life threw different things at me, a challenge. And, everything that's a test is led for a testimony. So I
absolutely.
just I just started developing myself because I was solo. Like, man, when I grew up, like I felt like I was a burden to everybody. So I didn't want to be around anybody. So I stayed to myself. I mean, it's like, hey, I got to work on me. I got to find me. Like I got to figure out who the hell I am because right now I just feel like I'm a burden to everybody and I don't want to be around nobody. So I took off and I started building myself. I started, that's where that 10% and 90% comes from. Because, man, I had people that was just like, nope, I don't want to take you hunting because, you're in a wheelchair. We can't do it because of your chair. I mean, I had people make a lot of excuses for me growing up because they didn't want to deal with me. So I would go hunt by myself. Man, there were times where I got in some sticky situations. Being in a wheelchair and hunting solo, that's rough at times. I
Yeah.
I've had the battery die in my chair. I'm stuck in the middle of the woods. I crawled 300 yards to my stand just to go hunting. I've gotten stuck in mud. I got to crawl back to the truck to hook it up to the truck to pull it out. Man, I've been in some situations, just by being disabled and being in a chair. But those things, it built character. Like I had the will to do it, and I was gonna do it no matter what. And that built me into getting to go to those shows and be in a position I am. Like I didn't quit because I set my mind on something. Like I was a kid with a dream and I was gonna make it happen no matter what. Like there was no changing. I didn't hang around friends. I didn't have anything. The only thing I had was a dream, and I knew that I had to chase it. So I stuck to it, so that built a lot of my mindset. And, once I started getting around, you know, older people and like really listening to older people and studying them, it's like, man, like there's wisdom there. Like, let me start listening. So I started listening to people. I listened to my elders. Growing up as a kid, I'm a kid from the South. Like, if you didn't listen to your elders, like you got spanked. So
Absolutely.
I took that I took that advice. And yeah, I took that advice of listening to your elders, and that helped build a lot of my mindset. you know and as I got older, I got to the motivational speaking, and then I started doing appearances and just telling people like how to enjoy life, because and I don't have a bad life. Like, people may think I have a bad life because I have a not so great situation or what it looks like, but dude, I do whatever I want when I want. Like, I'm my own boss. Like, I do whatever I want. I have fun in life. If I want to pick up and go fishing tomorrow morning, I go fishing. If I want to go hunting, I can do that. But it took me building a mindset of do not quit, move on, no matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets. The worst thing of your life, you've already faced it. I mean, and that's the truth. Being shot and paralyzed, that was the worst thing that I could face. I mean, at that time, that's about as bad as it get. I don't know if it get any worse besides death. And I was like, you've already beat that. Now let's
Right.
finish winning. The only thing you're doing now is you're challenged. Accept the challenge, get over it, and let's win. And I just got focused on winning.
Right. Man, that's that's a hell of a testimony, man. Yeah, I
Appreciate
hope somebody out there hears this and like just runs with it, because like I said, man, you're a motivation for a lot of people, man. And it's, a lot of people in your shoes, man, they would have just gave up hope a long time ago, and you know, possibly, committed suicide or something like that, just because of the cards they were dealt, man. But just to hear your story and how you overcame that, and the positive outlook that you have on life, man, dude, that's, I love it. It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I'm so
appreciate it.
proud of you, man.
Man, I appreciate it. I just, it's one of those things, like I said, life throws you the cards that you deal with. The only thing you got to do is play them. If you play your hand right, you win. But I mean, I had my time when I was just mad at God. Like, if you love me, why would you do this to me? And when you ask questions like that, you will get the answer. You may not hear it right then and there, but you're getting that answer. But I went through that. I'm not gonna say God did it to me. He allowed it to happen because He knew what the purpose was, what the long term goal is, like where I was going to be, in the end game, or in the through the whole process. So, I don't question God. I just go with the flow, and I enjoy the ride. I'm grateful for every day. Wake up, I got breath in my lungs, my heart's beating. I'm grateful. That's it. We can keep going with it.
Yeah, man. I was, like I said, in 2014, I lost my pops, and dude, I was mad at God for a while, and it was, you know, that a brutal time where I really, really needed his advice and needed some of his wisdom. And it's just like, you knew I needed him. Like, why did you take him from me? And
Yeah.
I was upset, man. I was mad, kind of turned my back, got to drinking pretty bad, everything. And I don't drink anymore, thank the Lord. But it was just one of them things, man. Like, I just couldn't shake it. And finally, I was like, Lord, like, why did you do this? And basically told me like, hey, I needed him more than you did down there. He was suffering and in a better place now. And everything that he taught you, you know, you're a good guy, you're a good kid, you're a good man. You're gonna, teach all that to your son. And I have, trying to teach him everything that my dad taught me, trying to be a good dad to him, trying to be a good husband to my wife, man. It took me a while to get out of that rut, man.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And I'm not gonna lie. Somebody out there that might have just lost a parent or a kid or something out there, it's hard, and it's gonna take a while to get over, and you'll probably never get over it. You just find ways to cope with it. Is the
Yeah.
way I feel like, But people
It,
in your story, man, it's just, dude, your story is amazing, man. It's crazy.
I appreciate it. You know, going back off what you just said, you know, you turned from God when you did that, man. There was a point in my life where I did that too. I knew God, I knew of God, but I didn't know God, you know? And I mean, I turned into, man, I had success, I had the fame, I had all that stuff. And, you know, man, I went to partying, you know, went to drinking every night, chasing women and all that stuff here, man. I was like, man, like, I'm living lifestyle, like, this is it, you know? And, you know, God slowed me down because he knew he had a different path for me. Like I was spiraling, just trying to cope for whatever's going on. And that's when I lost mobility in my arms. Like, I mean, both my arms went paralyzed. Like, he was like, "You won't listen to me. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna make you listen to me." And I didn't question it. You know, that ego that I had, that pride that I had. I mean, he broke me down. He was like, "I got your attention now." And like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to go through that just to hear what he means. You know, some
Mm-hmm.
people it may be death. I mean, for me, it was losing my arms, but you know, there's value in that. You know, every pain, every moment of pain, it has purpose. You know, there's a lesson and a blessing in everything that happens in life. You know, we may not see it at the time why it happened, but you know, just keep searching for God. You'll find an answer. He'll give it to you. You know, he'll give you a reason for everything. You just got to keep finding, keep searching it.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Like I said, when I lost my pops, man, it took a while, but once I actually started praying again, getting in the Bible, more, and, I found those answers that I was looking for. And,
Yeah,
it might have not been the answers I was looking for, but I got answers, and finally brought me comfort and brought me some peace. And even now, man, I can go out to my ground blind where I hunt, and some of those places that me and Dad used to rabbit hunt a lot. I can feel his presence there. Like, hey son, I'm okay. You're doing a good job. I just feel that, like, his presence there, and it's a good presence. It's not like a something I want to run from. Like, you can
yeah.
tell it's to help you and kind of comfort you. So, um, but yeah, man, do you still? This might be a bad question to ask, but do you still have some type of relationship with your father after
I don't
all
have
that?
I don't have a relationship with either one of my parents, and it wasn't, you know, it was way more than that. Like I said, you know, I grew up in an abusive household. You know, my dad is a carpenter by trade. You know, he wouldn't even build me a ramp to get in the house. I mean, it took like a year for me to get a ramp, and you know, it wasn't even usable for me. Like it just, you know, there were things that were done, you know, that I was neglected as a kid. You know, I wasn't given the care from a parent, especially one that shot you, another one's trying to, you know, beat you to death. I mean, I wasn't given that love and care that I needed. So, you know, once I got to the point of being an adult, I started cutting ties just because they never changed their ways. You know, still the same people, and I don't want to be associated with that. You know, they added value to my life when I was growing up. You know, I learned lessons from those situations. It built my character. You know, it helped me become the man that I am today. But I don't associate with them because you know I still have to find forgiveness, you know, and that's something that I'm not at that point. You know, there's still issues that we're going through. You know, I see my mom 2 years ago, and the last time I seen her, you know, my dog got killed because of her, and she wanted to start a fight in the street. She just about got us shot and killed in the damn street, and you know, I don't want to be around that. You know, and just I that's not my environment. You know, I live like I've built the motivation, I built the inspiration, like I built a happy life. You know, so I don't want to be around people that trying to take it away from me. You know, I built my success. My dad tries to attach himself to it and act like he built it and helped me do it. He wasn't present, but he tells people that, and you know, my mom does everything that she wants to do to try and destroy it. You know, she envies me. She doesn't like the fact that what I do and my success, and I don't want to be around people that I want to be around where I'm celebrated. You know, so I
I
don't have a
understand that.
relationship with my parents.
I understand that, man. Well, I hope it maybe one day, man, you'll find that peace, with them. And
Maybe
if
one
it
day.
happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. It's one of them things, man. You deserve peace too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so
Man, I make it look easy, but my life has been hard. I gotta find peace, and I search for it. That's why I'm in the outdoors so much. That's why I'm around nature because, man, you can find so much peace just being out in nature. I'm a very busy guy. I got a lot of things that are on my plate. Things get stressful, but man, I love being on the road, seeing different sceneries, and just seeing the country. Like that's peace for me. Like the other day, I went for a drive and went back home, and I'm in Texas Hill Country. I mean, it is the most gorgeous country I've ever seen in my life. You got those sunsets going over those canyons, and man, it's just beautiful. And that's where I find peace. So I chase peace wherever I go, and I just try to be successful in anything I do.
Yeah. What part of Texas are you in?
Blanco, Texas.
Gotcha. Because I got a lot of homies that basically all of my closest friends that I talk to on a daily basis, besides my best friend, are in Houston, Texas, Texarkana, or Galveston. They're all like right in there. And my wife's been trying to get me to get on a plane because I don't fly. I drive about everywhere because I'm scared to death to get on a plane. She's like, you need to get down there and see your boys. And I'm just like, if somebody goes with me, I said, somebody's got to go with me because I ain't getting on a plane by myself. So,
Man, a
so
plane,
I,
a plane
I'm gonna have
ride.
to add you to that list, man, to come down there and see you, man.
Come
Because
on,
I mean, Texas, it seems like that's the place to be. So,
come on. I mean, and heck, I mean, if you're going, you're. I'll be in Nashville for NWTF here, February 14th through 16th. You're right there in Kentucky. Come on down to the show. You don't have to wait to
oh,
catch a flight.
we come every year. I ain't missed
Yeah.
that show. I haven't missed that show since I met you.
Man, that's
Uh,
my absolute favorite show. I love that show, and that's my breadboard. If I do a lot of shows, but that show there, that's the one that hits home for me. I guess it's got something to do with the relationship with turkey hunt, but man, I just love being gathered around people that just want to talk turkey and just love it and just want to share those turkey pictures and run those calls.
yeah,
Man, that's my favorite show out of all.
yeah, it's fun, man. I enjoy it. Just meeting people. Just meeting the people that you see on TV all the time. You get to go up and talk to them or whatever, and then just hearing those turkey sounds or hearing them duck sounds when you're walking in. I took my son for the first time last year, man, and I don't think I'll ever be able to go without him again, man. People was giving him turkey calls, duck calls, hats, like stickers, man. He had an absolute ball, and he was walking around so much, his little feet kind of gave out and his legs got to hurting. Daddy, I'm tired. I said, yeah. I said, it'll happen walking around these big booths. But for me, it was just kind of going down there and networking and trying to,
Yeah.
connect with some people and whatever. And so far it's worked out. So I appreciate everybody that's, on this platform with me and listening to my shows every week and getting on my YouTube channel. Like, I can't tell you how much it means to me, man. I really appreciate y'all. So,
Man, you got to do it for the fans. I mean, I say fans, but I look at the people that follow me as people that they invest in me because they believe in me.
right.
They follow me for a reason. I want to make sure that I give them that. I give them that inspiration, that motivation. I give them that support that they're looking for because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be where I am. So yeah, you giving a shout out to the fans, man. That's the greatest thing ever. Like because you can say that, like man, like I built this here, and I have an audience that pays attention to me because I have value. I'm giving the value. I'm doing something great for the world. I'm doing something great for other people. That's something to hold inside your heart and be like, man, that's the greatest feeling ever. I get to help people for a living.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love it, and hopefully I can continue doing it, man, and till I die. If I get famous, I get famous, but if I don't, I don't. If I could just help that one person out there that was like me growing up that didn't see anybody like us um, on TV, it might give them that motivation to start something too. To leave to their kids and their grandkids. Man, that was the mindset for me first starting out. It's still my mindset. Um, Never seen anybody like me growing up on TV. It was always the Michael Waddell's, the T-Bones, and
Yeah.
Cuz Strickland's. I didn't see any of the, like the Josh Carneys out there or the Jim Caesars of the world or anybody like that, and it's awesome to see that now. I think the narrative is changing a little bit in this outdoor industry, and I'm loving it. I'm loving this. I'm loving to see it.
Man, I think here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, I've been in it. I've seen both sides of it. I mean, it just honestly, man, I think that communities just get this click tight niche and they just don't want to get out of that bubble, get out of its circle, and diverse and dive into other things and just join and build something together. It's all about it's all about me. Like it's all about
Mm.
again benches and what can you do for me instead of it's. And I'm from the South. You help your neighbor out, you help people out. And I think the reason why it's the way that it is because it's a lot of envy inside of it because I want to stay with this clique here just because they're this way here, and that's what's ruining it. I mean, we have plenty of space for everybody to dive into.
Absolutely.
Anybody that wants to be in outdoors, you can do it. There's public land all across this great country. I mean, you got a cell phone, you got a camera. All you got to do is promote yourself, get in front of it, and preach a good message. It doesn't matter what color you are, what group you are. It doesn't matter, what you identify as long as you can put out a good message and you're presentable and you're doing something good for the outdoor community. Yeah, that space is completely open, but it doesn't need to be looked at as I'm only gonna stick to this brand because this brand here is the only thing for me. It's there's plenty of it out there for everybody. Join
Yep.
together, build teams, build communities, do something for each other, and make something happen because hunting's it's a dying thing. The tradition of it's going. There's so many people out there that hate hunters and hate the aspect of what we do. As a hunter, we're not just out there killing animals. I mean, we're conservationists. We make sure that the land is taken care of. We give them better food, better nutrition. Like we're more worried about the animals than we are about our spices, their spouses, our kids, and our dang on dogs. I mean,
Right.
as hunters, we put in a lot of money to go chase an animal, just because that's what we love. It's not an abuse thing. It's a matter of passion. We go do it because we're bringing food home to our families. We're doing it because we're sharing the meat with John down the road who can't do it. People that are older that can't get out and hunt. I mean, I remember going on a hunt in Georgia and it was a meat hunt because the lady she lost her husband and she was struggling to revive her family. So we went down there and we killed a couple of deer just so she had food for her family. You know, that's what you do for people. Like that's why we have space inside the outdoor community. We need more of that. If you can help anybody out and give a good message and do good for your other brother or sister, that's it.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, it's just it's a lot of people that just don't want to get out of their ways, and it makes it catty. It's like high school, man. You got
That's
your
exactly like high school. Yes,
you
that's
got your
exactly what I was about to say.
uh,
You,
But like I said, there's plenty of room for the outdoor space. I mean, I made it being black and handicapped and making animal sounds. I mean, if anybody had the cards dealt that shouldn't have been in that scene, it should have been me. If I can make my way in and I can make my way to the top and stay at the top for 11 years now, spot's open. You just got to want it. You got to want it bad enough to go out there and do it and make a difference for people. Doing it for yourself and for selfish reasons so you can be, seen and build your egos than be a professional hunter. The bad news is there is no such thing as a professional hunter in the United States. We're not doing anything that somebody else can't do.
right.
I get it. Just because we're on TV and we're on these social media platforms, that's work for us. I mean, same way you go to your job, that's a job for us. It's work, but we're doing it because we're adding value to the people that watch us. We're showing what hunting is about. We're showing what conservation is about. We're showing the friendships around a campfire. We're showing like how to help people. That's the mission. The mission's not to be famous. That has nothing to do with it. People that want to be famous, that's because they have an ego.
Right. Yes,
There
absolutely.
is there
Preach
is
on.
there is no such thing as being famous in the outdoor industry. They're successful, but I don't think people in the outdoor industry are famous. We are all hardworking individuals that just like to hunt, and our career just lets us be on TV. You know, Heck, famous is the right Dwayne the Rock Johnson. That's
Yeah,
famous.
right.
You
That's
know,
famous. Yeah,
little old Josh Carney sitting in a deer blind hunting deer. That ain't famous. I mean, that's just me going out doing what I enjoy, and I get to share with people who enjoy what I do and enjoy me for the message that I bring. That's just success.
right. Yeah, that's a hell of a way to look at it. That's the truth, man. You preaching now. You preaching.
Man, I didn't want to put my church shoes on in this podcast. If we dive in, we can dive in.
Hey, we can go as long as you need to, man. I'll let you take hold. Pastor Carney
Oh man,
coming to
woo,
you right now.
I feel
The
it. Come
doors
on,
of the church are open.
woo! Oh
come
man, man, I remember growing
come on to the altar.
man, I remember growing up in Baptist churches. Man, I used to be choir boy growing up. Man, I used to love
Oh,
going to church and singing. I was all about it, you know. So I love a good preaching service. So if I could put one out here on the show, you know.
you was choir boy from Five Heartbeats,
Oh yeah.
huh?
But listen, I wanted to grow up and I wanted to be the Temptation, so I had to move. I had to make a transition.
I understand that, man. That's funny, man. That's hilarious. Heck yeah, man. But yeah, I'm gonna change gears here a little bit. I got a couple hypothetical questions here to ask you, just to
Let's
get
go.
your. So, hypothetically speaking, you've got somebody that had an incident like yours. Basically, they're trying to get back to where they're not hating God, where they're trying to get back to a place of peace, trying to get back to a normal life. What first piece of advice would you give them to kind of get out of that rut that they're in?
Accept the fact that it's not a normal life anymore. Hey, it's not. Your life changed, it's altered. You got to accept that. If you lost something, you don't have it anymore. You got to accept that for right now. You just got to move forward to figure out how to fix it. Until you can figure out how to fix it, you're not down to yourself. You don't beat yourself up. That's not going to solve anything. It's not going to fix any problems. Being mad at God, that's fine as long as you're talking to him. You can scream at him, you can yell at him. It doesn't matter as long as you're talking to him. He'll give you an answer some kind of way. You know, for me, I had to go alone, and I just had to, be alone. I can't, I couldn't be around people who couldn't understand my situation because they weren't in it. So I didn't take advice from those people. It's easy for someone to say, "Oh, cheer up, you'll be okay. It's a better day." You can't say that to somebody if you're never in their shoes. So for me, to answer that question, accept the fact that this is the cards you're dealt and figure out how to play your hand and make sure you win. Get addicted to winning. Celebrate the wins. If you woke up that morning, that's a win. Celebrate it. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you woke up and you made the perfect pot of coffee, celebrate it. That's a win. You got breath in your lungs, you got your heart beating. That's a win. Celebrate it. Until you get to the point to where you're not mad at God anymore. You can say, God, thank you. Celebrate it. And then after that point, continue to thank him because he'll keep blessing you.
That's right. That'll preach. He's preaching, y'all. I hope y'all listening. He's preaching. All right, man. Hypothetical question number 2. You basically, let's say you got a male, 15, 16 years old. He comes from pretty shattered background, one parent household, pretty bad neighborhood, let's say Baltimore area. He wants to get into the outdoors. He sees us on TV and wants to get into it, but he's got gangs after him. He's got all these different people after him, but he's trying to make a new life and something that can keep him out of jail or possibly keep him out of the graveyard. What advice would you give him?
Yep. That's a great one. So let's do it like this. So you're not a product of your environment. You can move and change your location, change who you are. If you truly don't want to be in that situation, pack your bags and move. Figure out a way how to get out of the environment and go somewhere where it's safe. If you don't want to be around the gangs, get away from it. If you don't want to be around violence and people that treat you bad, get away from it. God gave you 2 feet. Get to step and figure out where you need to be to find your place. If you want to be inside this industry, get away from the things that are going to put you in a bad place. You got to understand this is a job. This is a business. You got to understand how to get after it. You got to grind. For me, I work. I was telling a pastor friend of mine this here, um, actually a couple hours ago before we got on this call. I was like, man, I operate four different ways. I operate like an influencer because I want to please the audience. I want to please my crowd. I want to bring value. I want to have something to that person. So you have to think about the audience that you're presenting to and not yourself. You got to remove yourself from the whole situation and preach to those people. If you want to be successful in the industry, you got to start with an audience. If nobody doesn't know you, nobody's going to know you. You got to get out there and you got to make a name for yourself. So getting out of that environment where you're just drowning, get a place where you can catch your breath and you can start working on you and start working towards something that is going to build you and not kill you. After that, figure out where you want to be. What are you passionate about? If it's hunting, go for it. Stick to the hunting scene. If it's fishing, go for it. Stick to it. But don't quit. Grind out. It's gonna get tough. It's gonna get brutal. There's gonna be times when you're broke. There's gonna be times, man, I've been homeless more times than I realized. But I always figured out a way to come back and make it for myself because I wanted to be out of an environment that wasn't good for me. Man, it's a grind. You gotta go out there and you just gotta stay hungry for it. I mean, people can get in your ear and tell you, hey man, you're not gonna do it, you're not worth it, your content sucks, you're about you, blah, blah, blah. Just people are gonna run their mouth. Don't let it get to you. Put it in your heart and don't let it get to your head. Chase after it with whatever you got inside your heart and just know that you're doing it for a reason and stick to it. At the end of it, if you give it all you got and you stay on your grind and you do things clean and stay successful and you're helping people and you're doing a mission, and you're providing value, you're going to be successful. Just stay in it and grind it out. Man, I'm sorry. I'm preaching tonight, man.
You good, dog. You go ahead. Pastor Carney. The collection bag is being passed around right now.
Come on.
The offering is being passed around.
Come on,
somebody. Question? Come on, somebody.
Oh man, I'm in a hot seat tonight. What's the next question? Give me another hypothetical. I'm feeling it tonight.
Hey, next question is, man, this is an easy one. If you could hunt anywhere for anything, where are you going and what you hunting for?
Man, that is not an easy one. That's probably the hardest question that I can ask. Oh man. Man, I'm a big turkey hunter, but I've traveled all over the country. I mean, this year here, I'm going to New Zealand. I'm going out of country for the first time. I'm going to New Zealand to hunt tar and stag, and I think it's chamois is what it's called. But I don't know, man. There's places that I want to go. There's places that I'm looking at. I was supposed to go to hunt Australia and Africa in the year that I had all this incident happen. So I can't really answer the question. My vision is too big for me to settle down and say I'm stuck to one place. I don't know, man. But I tell you what. I tell you what hunt I'm excited about, or what hunts I'm excited about. We're gonna go down to Florida. We're gonna meet up with Python Cowboy, and we're gonna go hand grab pythons. So I'm excited about that. Man, here's the deal.
No, sir.
Listen, hear me out.
So, I'm hearing. I'm listening.
So I went noodling with my sister Allison. I went noodling. Okay. And if you guys know what noodling is, it's when you get in a big lake and you stick your arm in a hole and you want a catfish to bite you. Man, that is probably the scariest thing that you will ever do in your life until you actually do it. And it is the funnest thing you ever do. So
and if you want some videos of it, go find Hannah Barron on Instagram or Facebook, because her and her dad Jeff do a whole lot of it.
Yeah, I got a really cool video on TikTok that it went viral because, man, it was a thing for me. My first time getting in a hole and getting bit, I was like, this ain't black people stuff. Like we don't do this. Man, it was crazy, dude. And like the fish bit me and like it was a adrenaline rush. So I was like, man, that's cool. Let's go to the next one. And then I did that for a couple seasons, and then I was just like, man, I'm watching these people catch these pythons. Like, that sounds fun. And for me, I'm like, dude, you're in a wheelchair. The last thing you should be thinking about doing for fun is hand grabbing a freaking python. But that's how I think. Like, I'm excited for that. Like, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. If it wraps around my chin, wraps around me, that is one hell of a way to go out. Can you imagine that on a gravestone? That is one hell of a way to go out. Like Steve Irwin was my idol, but if I go out, it's gonna top you as a go. I'm gonna top him. You know, I gotta one up Steve. You know, that's a
Steve
dream for
got
me.
took out by a stingray, man. So you gonna get taken out by a python.
A python.
If I'm going to Florida, I'm going to chase Osceolas. I'm going hog hunting, and I'm going gator hunting. I ain't
Yeah.
sticking my hand nowhere near no snakes. That's where I draw the line. I hate snakes.
Look, if you want to be successful, you got to stop playing it safe. You got to get in there. You just got to get after it.
Hey, I'll come video you, but
Oh,
that's
I
not
bet.
it.
I bet you won't. You see one of them 17-foot pythons at 5 feet away from you, you're gonna be
I'm
like,
shooting
nope, back to the buggy.
it. Yep, I'm gone. Oh man, that's crazy. So what is your like number one like thing to hunt? Was it turkeys or is it something different now?
No,
Still turkey?
it's turkeys. I mean, I love turkeys. I got a passion for turkeys. You know, especially I could call them in my natural voice. You know, I love hearing the birds gobble. I love watching birds work. I mean, I love everything about turkey hunting. I mean, I look at turkey hunting like it's an art. Like it is. It takes skill. You're playing cat and mouse. I mean, like you're trying to trick a bird to come to you and you're disguising as a female. Like you got to throw on a sauce. And man, some mornings it's easy. Sometimes we kill them right off the roost, 5 minutes into the hunt. Some mornings you got to work that bird. You got to put it in the work. You got to put it in the hours. You got to chase him. You know, sometimes like me, I will get out of my wheelchair and I will crawl on the bird if I need to. I just go after him. So turkey is it's where it's at for me. I mean, it's one of those games. I mean, it's a love hate relationship for me because of my story. But man, I love being in those woods and just getting out. I'm hearing that bird gobble. That's music to my ears. You know, I tell people I was like, man, turkey hunting is like dating. You go in a bar and you just figure out which one you call, and then you're playing a game of pickup lines. Every time you call to him, it's either he's gonna say yes or he's gonna turn the other way and he's gonna find somebody else. You know, I love freaking turkey hunting. That's the best thing that God ever made.
Yeah, I think Will Primos, I think, said it best when he said, whatever you're hunting, you got to paint a picture.
Yep.
So if you're hunting turkeys, you got to paint that picture of, that strutter coming in to that hen, like he's coming in or whatever, and, grunt when you're grunting at a deer, whether you want to fight him or whatever, like it's all about painting a picture. And that's like the greatest thing I think Will Primos has ever said. I mean, he's said a lot of things, but that's the one thing that's always stuck to me. You got to paint a picture. And I love turkey hunting. We got some great turkey hunting here in Kentucky, but I can't tell you how many turkeys I've missed. I mean, I've killed my fair share, but I've also missed my fair share. It's not as easy as it looks on TV. That's for sure.
That's why they call it hunting. If it wasn't that, it'd be killing. You know, it's a
Right.
chase. You know, you can't get them every single time. But man, it's fun when you get them. But when you miss them, it's like, dang, I should have done it. But now you didn't made them a little smarter. So now you gotta hunt them harder. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, that's the sport of it. You know, for me, like I said, turkey hunting's it. But man, I love. I mean, I'm not a big deer hunter. I mean, I look at deer the same way I look at cattle. You know, I love deer. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love deer and deer hunting. But you know, my ADHD is so bad that I need something to chase and go after that's going to keep me moving. Because if I don't, I'm just going to sit and stand, and it's just like, man, playing on my phone, playing on my iPod, playing, like doing everything just to be somewhere else. Because man, you're just sitting there, you're waiting. Like I need to chase. So for me,
Yeah.
turkey hunting is a chase, and you know, being here in Texas, man, you get to chase exotics, you get to chase down, you know, all kind of cool species of animals. So yeah, anything that I can chase, I'm after it. But for turkeys, it's that gobble, man.
I heard that, man. I'm a big deer hunter. I love deer hunting, man. But the past, 3 years, man, I've been bit with that waterfowl bug hard.
Oh man.
And I cannot tell you, man, like everybody that I talk to, that hasn't ever been, duck hunting or goose hunting, man, I'm like, just come with me one time. and then you'll be hooked for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be like that. My buddy Lance took me, and I've been hooked ever since, man. I love waterfowl. Absolutely love it. It's one of them things, man. Like it bit me hard, and it ain't going nowhere no time soon.
I mean, waterfowl, it's got a lot of action to it. I mean, you can hang out with your buddies. I mean, I've been in some duck blinds where, I mean, it looks better than my apartment. I mean, just laid out.
Oh, yeah.
Microwave, you got a bed. I mean, the whole 9 yards, And sometimes, man, I think hunters just get lazy. The further we go on the stage, I think the lazier they get. I mean, we got trail cameras that send pictures to your phones. We got guns that can tell you how far the animal is and tell you where the dot is to shoot. I mean, we just, as hunters, we're getting a lot lazier, but I mean, the sport is still freaking fun. No matter how lazy we can get, the sport's still fun. Sitting in that duck blind and you got two heaters rolling 70 degrees inside the duck blind and it's -13 outside. You got bacon and eggs being cooked. I mean, when it's slow, you got the radio playing, you're hanging out with your boys. I mean, dude, that's like a guy's trip. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
duck hunting is a luxury sport, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. It's like the way I explained it to my buddy. I said, we all went to college. I said, imagine me, you, and some buddies are basically just hanging out the apartment, listening to music and just shooting the shit with each other. I said, That's basically how a duck blind is, except it's cold and you're shooting ducks.
Yeah. And then if you're on the X and those birds are coming in, man,
dude,
you talk action.
It's crazy, man. But yeah.
Man.
I got I want to plan a big duck hunt next year to Arkansas or Oklahoma somewhere with my buddies, man. We got to find a place to go because it's one of them trips we've been planning forever, and we just can't get our P's and Q's. But next year, or this year, I should say, the end of 25, it's gonna happen. So.
Yeah, I'm actually leaving NWTF and I'm headed down to Arkansas to go do a conservation goose hunt for a couple of days. So I'm looking forward to sitting in the blind and just smoking geese. I mean so like I said, I hadn't hunted since 2022 because of everything that went on, but this is gonna be my first hunt, back in action, and I'm laying in a pit with I think 10 shells in a chamber, and you're gonna have over 100,000 geese coming over. Man, that's gonna be a first time. That's gonna be a welcome back hunt, and I'm excited about that. But Arkansas has the ducks, that's gonna be a fun hunt for me. And then after that, I come back to Texas and I do a conservation hunt where we have certain number of doe tags. So we're gonna do some doe hunts and some quail, and then we're gonna do some hog hunting. So through the end of February, I'm doing conservation hunts. We need it as hunters. We have to do conservation hunts. We have to take care of the wildlife because if we don't, it's going to overpopulate it and get sick and die out. Everything on this earth has a purpose, and the animals, they have a purpose to feed us. So we got to take care of them by doing conservation hunts. That's what we got to do to keep the place managed, to keep the herd healthy, and keep food on the table for myself and other people.
That's right, man. Yeah, conservation hunts are a must because them snow geese, man, they do some damage, like them wild hogs do down in Texas, and we got to do our due diligence as hunters, man, to take some of them out. And what I love about it, you take that plug out of your gun and you can shoot as many of them things as you want, man. Probably have a sore shoulder when I come back, but
oh yeah.
I'm planning on one of them too. I definitely want to go on one. So
yeah, man, it's gonna be amazing. This is gonna be my first one, but I've watched my guys down in Arkansas do it and how they set up and all that stuff. I mean, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I mean, there's no need for me to call this time, and that's great. I can sit in the blind and not call. That's great for me. I can relax for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think in the snow goose world, you can use electronic calls, right?
Absolutely. In the conservation season, you can use electronic calls and just let it run. But I mean, you have to run a lot of calls because you're trying to mimic 100,000 birds on the field.
Right.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be loud, but it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Well, I got one more thing planned for you right here. If you're down for
Now let's go.
it. I got a list of animals here.
All right, let me get some water. All right.
All right. Mallard hen. Got you. Mallard drake.
Oh, I don't know the difference in it. I don't know the difference in it. I just know.
Oh, okay. They do the drake. The drake does the whistle.
Yeah, I'm not.
They do the
Dude,
whistle.
I'll be completely honest with you. I am not a waterfowl hunter. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll take the
I get
waterfowl off the list then.
I get lucky.
All right. Elk bugle.
That's easy. I got that. Oh, these people in this nursing home, they're gonna kick me out of here. All right, so I'll start with a cow. Let me tell you a funny story while I do this, because I went elk hunting here in Texas a couple years ago, and my camera guy had to leave. His wife called him that she wanted to watch his football game, so he flew back home. So I was in the blind by myself in Texas. I look over and I see this bull elk on a ridge. So I call to it with a cow call. And cow call goes, "Meow, meow, 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 meow." Okay, so this elk is coming to me. I'm sitting in the blind. This elk comes over this ridge and he's right in front of me, probably 20, 30 yards. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, this is freaking cool. I got this big bull elk, but I only had a cow tag. But I'm like, okay, I get to mimic and call this bull like I'm calling turkeys. Call to him again. So he looks at the blind. He goes, and just freaking bugles right at me in the blind. And so I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I'm like a kid in a candy store. So I cow called to him again. And in the back of my blind, there was two bull elk that came in from his bugle, and they walked in at the back of my blind and bugled at the back of my blind. I never freaking heard them coming. You're talking about making a paraplegic jump out of his chair. It scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, I bet that would be. Yeah, not knowing it's back there.
Ear piercing, dude. I mean, it is ear piercing.
That's crazy. All right, I got two more.
Let's go.
Cow. Oh yeah, he's a beast.
Man, this is after an hour and a half podcast. I mean, my voice it's rough, but I mean, we're still kicking them out. Let's go.
All right, turkey gobble.
All right. I'm gonna do a hen and followed by a gobble.
All right. Hey, that man is a beast.
I appreciate it, man.
Dude, that's crazy, man. I can sit there and listen to you all night long.
Man, listen, we need to schedule a hunt and get in the blind, and let's go after it. Let's go find something to hunt.
I'm down, man. I'm absolutely down, man. But man, I cannot tell you how much I have enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for agreeing to be on this podcast with me, man. I think something that you said on this podcast somewhere is going to help somebody that's going through something right now in their lives. Your story alone is just incredible. It's remarkable in the way that you came through it and the way that you have the positive outlook on life that you do. It's just, it's heartwarming, man. It almost brings tears to your eyes, man. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, man. If you ever need anything from me, man, you got my phone number, you got my IG, you just let me know, man.
Man, I truly appreciate it. I really hope that there is something in this message that does touch somebody, reach somebody, inspire somebody to do something great. You know, if somebody tells you that you can't, they may not be able to do it themselves, but if you believe in yourself, you can get after it. Put your head down, grind it out, make it yours. Get addicted to winning. Go after it. Don't let anybody sideline you. If somebody tells you can't, put a grin on your face and watch them. Let them show that you can. I hope someone gets value out of this. But listen, I'm glad that you went your route. You made this podcast happen. You put your head down, you grinded it out, and you did what you did. I remember you first reaching out to me asking about the podcast and starting it. And man, you're here. I'm proud of you. Congratulations.
I appreciate it, brother. That
Absolutely.
means a whole lot coming from you, man. Because, like I
Absolutely.
said, man, you are a big inspiration to me starting this, and I think you were actually the first person that I reached out to, and
That's the thing. A lot of people think, just because you reach a fame status or thing like that, like you're not touchable. Yeah, just reach out. I mean, I'm just like you. I put my pants on every single day. I got to get up, go to work, and I'm just like I'm an average guy. My job is just cool.
right.
There's no fame to it. My job is just cool. So reach out, send a message. I'm happy to send something back. If I can help somebody, absolutely, I'll reply.
How can people get in touch with you if they want to ask you any questions or send you a message or anything?
All of my social media stats are Son of the South. If you go to my Instagram, it's at Son of the South TV, SON of the South TV. And then on there, you can go to my profile and I have a link, and everything that I'm involved inside of is inside that link. And I'm involved inside of a lot of cool things. I'd love for you guys to get inside and look at it and get interested.
Awesome. Josh Carney, ladies and gentlemen. This podcast will be out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and my personal YouTube page. Make sure you give a like, subscribe, give a 5-star rating, 5-star review. It helps me with the podcast, helps the podcast out. And I appreciate y'all listening. I hope somewhere along the line on this podcast, it will help somebody to continue their journey and to never give up. So, big game, small game, all game. We do this too.